What's up, everyone? So we are going through a bit of a deep dive, and the whole point of this deep dive is to identify anything that has moved 20% within the last week, and then also if we can find some kind of characteristics in these stocks or some kind of indicators or consistency that sort of drives this 20%. See if there's anything that you know of similar character to drive that 20% move. And the reason for that is when I identify some things or some stocks that are gearing to make that 20% and catch it at the right time. Now, again, this is a probability game, and what we want to do is we want to increase our probability. It's not that it's going to work 100% of the time, but we want to identify some kind of characteristic, and then we want to find something that is in the making. That way it increases our probability instead of just playing a random game. So first one is going through our TC2000. This is the software that I use, and let's go through a little bit of this deep dive. So we want to go through a study of things that have moved 20% for the week. And the formula for that is very simple. It's yesterday's close divided by a close of 5 days ago is higher than or equal to 1.2, which makes that 20%. And then the volume that I want to look at to make sure it's higher than 100,000, because we want to make sure that there's liquidity there. And then we want to make sure that the close price is also higher than or equal to 5. So let's go through step by step from the top. Let's go sort from highest to lowest. RNA, it seems like there's a gap up, so there had to be some kind of catalyst or some kind of some kind of news driving it. So that's out of control. So we'll go ahead and go to Sumo. Go to BTB next. So BTB looks like it has made some kind of 20% move here. So I want to look at this looks like this is a 32.5%. So we want to look at a characteristic here. So it looks like one of the characteristics is there's some kind of linear buying up in the beginning, a little bit of a stop, and then some kind of explosive move up top. So if we've gotten this, that's an 82.76%. So this is a common setup, which is called a high tide flag or a bull flag pattern, and this is specifically what I trade. And the reason why I trade that is because I've seen through my numerous deep dives as this setup has a high probability of actually making the move, especially if one can catch it at the consolidation portion. And what I mean by consolidation portion is this area right here. So first you want to look for some kind of linear buying and some kind of consolidation. Some of the famous traders call it volatility contraction pattern in this area, because as you can see, this is high volatility, and then this is a small volatility or a contraction of the volatility. And then the day of the breakout, they enter pretty early on to then let it make moves of however many percent. Even if you hold it just for 4 days, I mean that's essentially is upwards of 70%. EVTE, again, this is a move of 73%, but you can see some kind of linear buying here, and then a volatility contraction pattern here. This is a little bit more choppy than I like it, but still this is sort of, I guess, kind of like a mini flag and then a little pullback, and then here's a pattern of move up. You really have to stretch the definition of high tide flags, which you don't want to do. Um, GitLab. This one stock I followed. It's put in that there was a surprisingly good earnings, but analysts lowered price target, which makes it a little bit harder to distill to see if it's actually going to move up or not. Long, here's a move, right? So it's a 21% move, 22.05%. But you consider this a linear buying, a little bit of volatility contraction, and then a move up. It's choppier than I like, but it still follows that high tide flag pattern. Carvana has been on a good trajectory downwards here. If you short at the top, congrats to you. But we're just gonna keep moving here. Again, this is you're looking at a high tide flag at its best essentially here. So this is a move of a 80%, 72% move once again, but it all started with linear move and then a little bit of contraction here and a bump up. PAFO is too early. It looks like this was just newly IPO'd. RXDX, whenever there's a gap up, there's some kind of news that drives it. So we're just gonna kind of skip that because we can't control news. ETNB, it looks like this is a 22% move. It's choppy, so it's not really a pattern that we're looking for or anything like that. This early on, this is more of an earlier pattern here. Here's a linear buying, here's a contraction, and then there's a move, but it didn't follow through the second day. It's a 15% move though. UPLD, Upland Software, it looks like there's that linear buying here, and then a little bit of contraction. And I don't know if this is going to be a follow through and breakout or not, just because it didn't close at the high, which is another characteristic that you want to look at whenever something moves or something is breaking out. You want it to sort of close at the near high of the day level to make sure that the next day will have strong buying to follow through. Multiple resorts, looks like there's linear buying here, healthy linear buying, and then some kind of contraction here, and then we'll see if there's a follow through here. This looks like this is just a 20% move, a little bit choppy. It's not the setup that I'm looking for. Momo, it looks like this is, again, anything that gaps up, it looks like some kind of news driven or some kind of, and what I mean by news is sometimes earnings is also a part of that. And here's some kind of contraction pattern. PHVS, this looks like a biotech healthcare, so I'm guessing some kind of approval moved in it. Again, something you can't control. But it looks like there's like a massive buying in one day, which I'm a little cautious about when there's a little massive buying instead of a linear buying, right? Because exponential buying sometimes could mean that the rug could get pulled under you. But we're seeing it that it's like, it contracts here, and then maybe there's a second set of buyer coming in. I'll drive it up. This one's a little choppy. It's not part of something I'm looking for here. But if we're looking for something in the past, this looks like a nice high type bull flag here. It made a move of 21% in the past, but again, you're seeing a linear buying, some kind of contraction pattern, and then the day of the breakout, you catch it at 21%. Now, the day of the breakout is key because you need to enter it kind of early to make sure that you capture all of it. But say that you don't capture all of it. Say that you're at the end of it here at the end of the day, then the next day it moves and you somehow capture all of it. That's still a 10% move, 9.93%. So the follow through is a powerful thing if you can capture all of it. I personally, when it goes up, I start peeling so that I realize my profit. But that's, obviously normal preference and risk management, which is another topic we'll get into. Anyway, so we're looking at another linear buying here, and then some kind of contraction. We'll see if there's anything that moves it up. Cabaletta. So this is beautiful, beautiful high tie flag pattern here. So you're looking at something that breaks out here. It's made a move of 42% up until this point, and then if you exited there, that's 42% gain. If you kept holding, that's a 71.26% gain here. But it all started with some kind of, there's a linear buying, contraction, and then an explosive move to the upside. If we even want to look back to like the first time that it starts going linear buying, it started over here. There's a linear buying. The first move is 157%, and that's powerful. Obviously, this is a low dollar stock, so it's expected to make that kind of massive percentage move. But since it's low dollar, obviously it poses more risk. So if you're moving up here, this is your first leg of buying. Then you get the contraction pattern here. And then you want to see if it moves up. So the next day you follow it, just breaks out. And then if you are able to hold it to like third day, it's 36% of the move. If for whatever reason you kind of held through because you said you stop at low of the day or the first day or whatever, which it never got to that point. If for whatever reason you held through until all this second wave of buying comes in, that's 109%. And then if you held even longer, if you got the freaking guts and balls to do it, I mean, dude, you're looking at 242% gain. This is just an example of what's possible. Obviously, once again, I peel as I go. So if I enter in like at a high percentage of my portfolio, I'm not just gonna hold it through. I peel as I go. And but if you're a holder that if you've got big guts, that's obviously more props to you. DXMD, we're seeing some kind of first leg of buying here. Hopefully this contracts. This is a little bit too choppy for my liking. Very long wicks. It's not something that I usually like to trade, and it's again biopharma, biotech. It's likely news driven by some kind of FDA passing some kind of approval. So you want to just chill out on that and trade something else. Cool. This looks like it was a nice contraction for a little while. You see some kind of powerful buying over here. It contracts, but then there's got to be some kind of buyout or something, like an acquisition, and this company must have been acquired or something at either $80 or $78 here. CAS, solid linear buying, pullback. We don't know if this is going to go up or not. We'll see if there's a second leg of buying. That would have been nice. Vivint Smart Home. This is, it looks like another buyout again. Anyway, so our job here as a trader is we want to find a good setup. We want to find a solid setup that we can use. And this is just the first video of my sharing this, what I do. This is something I do every night and in the morning. After trading is done, I go and see what's happening with the news, and in the morning I study anything that's moved 20% for like the last couple weeks or so, and yeah, and then start the day with a nice watch list, and then execute and see if anything moves on my watch list. Anyway, thanks for joining me. We'll chat soon.